Okay, you want to introduce the interview?
This is our great chat with Megan. What a phenomenal artist she is. And so rarely these days do you find a band of this caliber. We were able to actually see them live
She's
right
so
after this interview.
she's so cute. She said, what other show did we see you guys at? Because she recognized us. I
We
said,
were familiar, but
yeah.
it was out of context.
And I said, we interviewed you. She went, oh, that's great. But it wasn't out yet. It
We
says
got our
adorable.
lovely shirts.
Yeah.
If this band comes anywhere near you, and I believe they are headed to Europe, if they're not already there, get out and see them. It's quite an experience. They brought the audience, some of them were seated, and every single person was on their feet by the end of the show.
It was one of the best shows I've seen this year. So take it away.
Well, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. We've been really enjoying the album.
No problem. Thanks for the review. I really enjoyed that.
Yes.
And happy belated birthday.
Thank you
That's
very
right.
much.
Yeah, so tell me about how the band came together at the beginning. I mean, did you set out to have that horn section? It's not many people these days, unfortunately, you see with the tenor sax. I love it.
Yeah, we didn't start with the horn section, but when we put the band together, we knew that that was, the direction that we wanted to go with it. So the whole idea of the band started with Dave and I. We had been playing in a party cover band for probably almost a decade at that point. And we had been listening to a lot of music that was really inspiring us. And we were not inspired by, the party scene at that point. We had been doing it so long. So we kind of got to a point where we were like, this is the time we really have to start writing our own music. So, we pulled some musician friends together and started writing. And then, we won a couple of small competitions and we got a couple festival slots. So once we got our first festival slot, we're like, okay, this is the point. We're going to add the horns. It's time. But all of our touring, all of the albums have been done as a 7-piece band.
That's awesome. So when traveling to a festival, have you figured out like the logistics? Because that's a lot of people and equipment to make all happen.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
In North America, we have purchased a short school bus, which we painted green, and we have driven as far as Colorado in and up the mountains on a highway detour. And then when we're traveling in Europe, we have a driver and we drive in a big Sprinter van. It's not as spacious as the bus, but it is definitely less bumpy and has air conditioning, which is a plus.
That's always a good thing. Yeah.
Have you given the bus a name?
Buster.
Ah, it's great.
It's a toss up between that and Ring Machine, I think.
Yeah. That would work too.
Well, I was describing you guys to a friend of mine the other day. I was like, it's hard to believe in 2024, this band, they're just going off being excellent musicians and writing great songs. There's no masks, there's no costumes, there's no bullshit. It's great. I can't wait to see the show. I really can't.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, the whole goal is to kind of make people feel something and everybody in the band is except for me, everybody in the band is jazz trained musicians who, you get to see that when we open up sections and they get to play off of each other and they're great.
It's great. Yeah.
So your sound is so like Muscle Shoals and, New Orleans and Southern rock. Are people ever like Toronto?
Yeah, we get that. Yeah, we get that a lot. But you also have to remember that there's a part of Americana that was like kind of comes from up here, most of the band was Canadian. Neil Young is Canadian, but he's still got that kind of, I don't know, there's something very Southern, I feel, about what Southern yet, Lake Ontario about what he does. So I think, parts of that sound did kind of come from here. The band was iconic and really a trailblazer in what they were doing. And it's pegged as a very Americana sound, but yeah, most of those guys, they started up here.
Yeah.
I almost kind of expected you to have a twang of some sort.
No, Toronto. I might say A once or twice.
So has anybody ever like slapped the label country on you in a review, and how did you feel about it? I don't think
Um,
that I could.
People have incorporated it. The thing with us is I find like I struggle with describing what we do, right? It's not straight up Southern rock, although there's a lot of that, but there are little elements of country and little elements of funk and elements of New Orleans and we try to incorporate a bunch of soul into it. So I welcome that. I really I am proud to be in, and I hope we move more and more in that direction, a bit of a genre bending
Yeah.
outfit. Yeah.
I like that. I mean, and country is the number one format, it seems like, but I love the blend of what you put together. What
Thank
kind of were there things that kind of inspired the way you wanted things to sound?
A lot of what we talk about is kind of creating a warm emotional sound that people can connect to. But when we put the band together, we were listening to and continue to listen to not only classic soul and blues and Southern rock and Americana, but we were really inspired by hearing so much current music coming out that was throwing back to that. So a massive influence for us was Tedeschi Trucks band, and Amy Winehouse and Sharon Jones. We started listening to Marcus King, and the Wood Brothers are huge for us. Nathaniel Radcliffe has that sound, so taking those old influences and listening to kind of what people are doing with it now and kind of finding where you can fit into that.
I can hear that Amy Winehouse in there now. Damn it, I knew I was.
Did you have any like formal vocal training, or like do you just sing,
Not
on your
really.
own?
Yeah, I did probably a couple months of vocal coaching, and I got bored, and I regrets, I wish I had have stuck with it, but I did a lot of choirs, I did a lot of musical theater. So, I learned a lot from that for sure.
You have a great range. Do you have any idea what your range is?
It's not what it used to be. I used to sing really, really high. Like when I was younger, that used to be, using my head tones, and a top soprano range was something that I really identified with. And then I kind of, by necessity in a way, kind of started using my chest tones and those raspier, more kind of power vocals. And so I stay there, I don't usually go up into the pure top tones, but I don't know. It changes from day to day, I guess. The actual range I can sing in.
No, you have a great voice. I mean, it's just like it's a little Janis Joplin, it's a little Grace Slick, it's a little of everything. Who do you get compared most to, and do you agree or disagree with those?
I've gotten all kinds, and some of them were people I didn't know, and I had to kind of check out. There was a reference to Vinegar Joe, that I had to look them up, and there was another singer I can't remember. If people are identifying with the sound I'm making, I love that. I get Janis Joplin a lot. I get Susan Tedeschi a lot. I get what's the other I've had. I'm not gonna remember now, but there's definitely a few others I get quite often, and they're not coming to my brain right now, but I do get those a lot.
Our patients, especially the older ones, always tell me I look like our local traffic lady, and I'm like, no, I do not. I don't know where they get. I've heard that more than once. I'm like, no.
There's not. I mean, there's not a lot of bands that sound like you. I was so thrilled when I heard it. I was like, it's like Black Crowes adjacent. It's
Yeah.
Raging Slab adjacent. That's what I hear. I hear like the Southern Harmony Musical Companion album from the Black
Yeah.
Crowes, which
Amazing
I
album.
played until the vinyl fell apart.
I've heard you are even more impassioned when performing live. Do you have a favorite song to perform live, or?
It changes all the time. Like we're in a place now where we're trying to continually, if we can, introduce new music, whether it's a new cover or we're back writing music. So a lot of the time the new song kind of becomes the favorite because we're mixing things up a little bit. But you know, we've been playing a lot of these tunes for a long time. Left Behind, which right now is our closer. I always really enjoy. It's got so many different, it's got this like swampy kind of feel at the beginning. The middle of it opens up and you really get to hear everything. When we do it live, it's a really extended version. You get to hear everything that the guys are capable of doing. And then I get to finish it all off with a, you know, a power vocal thing. So that one's always fun. But yeah, just, you know, if we haven't played a song for a while and we throw it in, that for the night, that usually becomes the favorite.
Do you still weave in a cover here or there? Like what kind of
Yeah.
covers do you put in?
I think it's pretty important to put a couple covers into the set, especially because people are still kind of learning who we are and what we're about and our music. You know, it gives people a moment of familiarity, which is really great that they can connect to. And I don't know, we try to skew in the Southern soul genre. We've done a few Aretha Franklin tunes, we've done a few band tunes. Some Dr. John in the past. We've been playing around a bit of Billy Preston and a bit of Beatles here and there.
Right.
But just trying to find a way to make those feel like they fit into the, you know, the vibe of the show.
Are you seeing what kind of age range are you seeing in the crowd? Is it all over the place, or is it mostly young people, or
it skews older for the most part. We'd love to reach a younger audience, and it depends on the show. Like there's shows, you know, where we do get to see kind of a huge range of ages. But yeah, I mean the more variety of people we get exposed to, the better for us. I think that the music could reach a younger audience if we could find a way to get in front of it, for sure.
I love the name of the band. It really almost, before you hear you can kind of guess, you know, where it's going to go. The only thing I could find when I Googled it was some bakery in New Orleans. So I was wondering if that's kind of the sector it came from.
Yeah, that works. It's Bywater, Marigny is a neighborhood in New Orleans right next to the French Quarter. And Dave and I, from the first time we visited New Orleans, we just fell in love with the city. It is in a way that no other city we visited like is steeped in music. Like you, especially in the French Quarter and in the Bywater area, you can't really go anywhere with like somebody playing a clarinet on this corner, you know, a bunch of kids pulling out a suitcase to play kick drum and you know, an acoustic set on the next corner. At nighttime, you'll get a 10-piece brass band pull out in front of a closed venue and start playing a bunch of tunes. And then you'll go from in Bywater, there's a street called Frenchman Street, and it's club after club of, for the most part, or I haven't been in a while now, but you know, local bands playing that you could go from club to club and see. And then you'd really see the community there because you go to one place and you'd see the band play, you go to the next place, and by the end of that set, the piano player from the last gig you saw is hopping in to see his friends and sitting in for a tune or two. And yeah, just really, really loved that environment.
You ever pick a street corner and just start up?
Should, next time I go.
Craziest thing I ever saw is we were in DC and this guy had like literally Home Depot buckets set up and was just playing drums on these Home Depot buckets.
It was good too.
I was like,
yeah,
he was like, I prefer the double bucket. I was like, oh,
it can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the cover art really sets the mood for the album. Like, how did you come to pick that photo, or what is that photo?
So Dave picked that photo. We had decided the album was going to be Shepherd. It's a lyric from Colors, which is like this big emotional kind of power ballad, second tune on the album. And the lyric is Shepherd with none of her sheep. And we felt like that lyric also worked well in terms of where we were as a band. It's the first album we've done, you know, without a team, like without the team that we had behind us. We self-produced it. Bruce, the drummer, mixed it. We're distributing it with on our own with the help of a sub distributor in Europe. So we felt that really kind of represented where we were. And we kind of went on the search for album art, and Dave found this painting on Etsy and was like, this is awesome. It's perfect. So we wrote the artist and bought it from him, and yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
And just, you know, the way you can see through the colors in it, and then the way that you can see through the barn into the background, and yeah, it's cool.
Is it hard making decisions with 7 people involved in the band? I mean,
It's not easy. A lot of the times, you know, we kind of, Dave and I'll be the ones kind of to make a bunch of the decisions. But when it's stuff that we really think is going to affect everybody, we'll at least ask everybody's opinion, and, you know, everybody's comfort and sanity and approval is
Right,
important.
right.
Yeah.
But sounds like the process between Remains and Shepherd were quite different, with you having more of a hands-on. So did it feel super different writing?
It felt different in a lot of ways, because Remain, we wrote a lot of it in isolation. You know, we hadn't performed a lot of those songs. Like, I'd say at least half of them we hadn't performed for an audience before we went into the studio, which was not the way the first album worked. The first album, you know, we had been writing and putting the band together for a couple years before we went into the studio. So a lot of those tunes were road tested. So Remain was really scary in that way. And yeah, we had a little bit of a production team behind us, and a record label. With Shepherd, we were really, really busy last year when we were writing most of that album, and we had to find a way to make it work. So a lot of that stuff was written on the road during sound checks. And then when we felt like it was at a point where we wouldn't embarrass ourselves performing it, we'd play it and see how the audience reacted to it, and then we'd tweak it. And so yeah, and then most of it's recorded in what was Bruce's our drummer's apartment studio. And yeah, very different experiences for sure.
Yeah, like we were saying, we absolutely love this album. I love how your themes are about like the human experience and kind of emotions, relationships, highs and lows. Where do your memes most often come from? Just like real life experiences, or observation, or fictional stuff, or everything?
I think you get a bit of everything. Like, you know, definitely there's probably at least some sort of really personal line in almost, if not all of the songs, you know, drawing from those experiences. But part of it was, a lot of it is just wanting to tell a story that people will connect with. You know, we in a few of the tunes, we started kind of working with the idea of little vignettes. So throughout the song, we tell 2 or 3 stories that relate back to the theme or the chorus of the song. But yeah, really kind of pulling all over for inspiration lyrically.
The song Holler. Wow. I love it so much. When that intro where he's just hitting the bass drum, and then you know that it's going to kick in. Like, did you add that later, or was that always the way? Did you like did you start with the main song and then add that, or was it?
No, I mean, the song was the structure it was, and then we decided, you know, to do a kind of yeah, a build into it, you know, a little bit of vulnerability at the beginning. And then yeah, just kind of
That slide guitar, and then just the way
Yeah.
it kicks in, it's such a powerful song. It's great.
Yeah, it's one of those moments that makes you want to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we also loved Everybody. I love the theme about everybody knows the bed they sleep in. It's kind of like understand it immediately. Like, is it kind of like you're the one who knows your comfort zone and where you belong, and kind of like that?
I think it's about people in general, right? We all make decisions that might be a little morally questionable, or, you know, in order to accomplish what we want to accomplish. You know, and you can say whatever you want, but at the end of the day, when you go to bed, the real you is there, and you know it's there, and you know those decisions, or you know who you are as a person. There's no getting away from that at the end of the day.
That second nacho was a bad idea.
Right.
It's always in the middle of the night. It seems like if like my head will start spinning nonsense
What
or
was I?
worrying about stuff.
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
Right?
It's ridiculous. So when you wake up, you're like, what was I doing? What
Mhm.
was I
Yeah.
doing? So for the video, was that an actual church that you got to film in, and how'd you get to do that?
Oh, you'd have to ask Zach, who shot the video. He went on a search for us, and I was kind of willing to go. That one was shot on quite a tight timeline, and I was willing to just, okay, I bought like peel and stick stained glass that we could have put on a window or a door or something. But he went on a search, and he found a church that was willing to let us use it, and
That's
it
awesome.
worked out
Yeah.
perfectly. It pieced together a small choir, and
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. Yeah.
And for colors, I love the way that you kind of chose that spelling instead of like the traditional like colors. Is there some reason why you went with that?
it's Canadian.
Ah,
Ah, there you go. Yep.
We put U's after our O's in colors and neighbors. I don't know. I could probably think of some other ones, but yeah, it's a
I used to
British
have a
song.
teacher who every time in every lesson she's like, "We're going to talk about," and it took me the longest time. I'm like, "What?"
Yeah, we don't notice it. Well, depends. Depends how far north and west you're from.
Like, why did you keep talking about boots? I'm so confused.
Mm.
Also, like you were saying, that choir feel, and I don't think many people like it pervades so many different types of music. Like I had this Whitney Houston of "I Want to Dance with Somebody" with no music. It's a gospel choir song.
Oh,
If you
sure.
take that music out, it's crazy how
Yeah.
that
I mean,
pervades
those are
your.
her roots too, right? So that,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's nuts. So you said you had experiences in a choir. Was it big or small, and did you do solos?
It was not a gospel choir, sadly, but yeah, I grew up in the Catholic Church for a good part of my youth, and we bounced around from city to city a little bit when I was younger. So, but I would always join the church choir. I don't remember if there were solos with that, but there was one church we had that was quite progressive, and it was a small choir. There was only about 6 of us, but the choir director would bring in like African spirituals and more modern tunes and stuff like that. And that was really fun. And then I did community choirs and choirs at school. And in those, definitely there were, the first solo moments, I guess.
Yeah.
It was scarier back then.
I also love the video for that one. Who kind of had the concept of like following you around room to room, and then you would sit and run? Might be a little Lisa Loeb back in the day. Right?
Well, I mean, that actually was a reference. It was the overall idea was one that I had that I bounced off Dave, and he gave me some ideas too. But the first inspiration video for it was Yellow, Coldplay, and basically something happened. The band couldn't make it that day, and so they ended up just doing this long walk on the beach. But they shot it, so it's a single take, but they sped the tune up double time. And that's what he walked to and sang to. And then the video has this slow motion effect because they did that. Then you slow it down to real time. So I really wanted to try something like that. Zach, the director of the video, found it's actually the space that he works out of, which is a really cool art space. So has all these different rooms that you can work in. So we choreographed, and it's just, one shot, and I'm moving twice as fast as I look like I'm moving in the video. So it was a real workout. We did a whole bunch of takes, moving from one spot to the next, and just trying to make it work time-wise, but make it look really elegant at the same time.
Just do running like that. I was like, I would fall flat on my face right there.
I did it in bare feet, so it was better. But
Yeah.
the whole idea was to give it a bit of a dreamscape vibe.
Yeah, it was great with the colors bursting for a second. It was always kind of like the way I kind of got a feeling it was like that this moment here is so fleeting, and then you're back to the black and white. Is that kind of?
Yeah, I like
I
that.
guess I like that.
So I read that you were nominated for Best International Artist for the 2024 UK Blues Awards. which I didn't even know that was a thing. And as soon
Yeah.
as I read that, I was like, is it like Robin Trower is the presenter? And then here comes Paul Rogers to present the award. Like what was it like?
Yeah, it's not that big, but it's it's like anywhere like in the States, there's, an overarching blues society. In Canada, we have award ceremonies called the Maple Blues Awards. So it's similar to that, but we had no idea we would even be up for an award. We had only done our first tour there last year. It was very early days for us in the UK. So we were tagged in a post and, nominated alongside Larkin Poe. And I can't remember anymore who else was on there, but the whole list of nominees, it was really cool. We didn't expect to win, but just
That's
cool to be
cool.
named along those people, aside those
Yeah.
people, and in a country we're trying to reach out to. So
Hmm.
I know what I did ask you. Is there actually a Maria from Sweet Maria?
no. No, there isn't a Maria. I went through a few names and that one felt, the most connected to the song the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But since
Yeah.
then, we've had a lot of people who are like, that's my song. You wrote that about me. And I'm like, that's cool. You take
Yeah,
it.
exactly. I'll take it. Right.
I find more often than not, if someone's named in a name in a title, that it's never a real person. I wonder why that.
I mean,
Yeah.
lyrics are funny, right? You have to make it sound good. There's certain names that I think are used more often for a reason, just because the way they roll off in a lyric or something, or how they sound on the voice is just sounds better.
Like Cecilia, that kind of really,
Well, Jessica, there's a lot of songs called Jessica, Layla, there's,
Yeah,
makes it end in A.
yeah.
that's a big one.
Yeah.
So I also love roll. What is kind of makes that it reminded me of the stuff that scratchy sound at the beginning, like the thing you had in music class where you rubbed something on it. I couldn't quite figure out how you made that.
Oh, the percussion that's at the beginning.
Yeah.
Dave, do you know what that's called? That
Got some like
he did all kinds of stuff, didn't
chestnuts
he?
on a string.
Yeah, I know. Bruce used all kinds of we really wanted that tune to be kind of eclectic, and we wanted interesting sounds to be. There's a few of those where we wanted those to be incorporated. So to be honest, I don't know all the percussion that Bruce used. I think at one point he said he was hitting something with forks, but he also has this thing that's like chestnuts on chestnut shells on, or dried chestnuts or something on string. He could have been just clunking with that.
Banging hubcaps together. And you're like,
Yeah.
can you get over here and get some work done?
Yeah, whatever it takes.
For all we know, God, I had so many favorite tracks, but I love that it's so unplugged. Do most of your songs kind of, when you write them, do they start out more acoustic and then you add, or does it just depend on what you're writing?
So most of the songs, like 98% of the songs, start with Dave and an idea Dave has. So it always starts with the guitar. And it'll start with a chord progression or a chorus or a lyric idea or a combination of those that he kind of brings to me. So they do all start quite stripped down, and him and I will pass some stuff back and forth, and then start introducing the band to the tune when it feels right. And then they add all their nuance to it, and we can build it up as much as we want, or keep it as stripped down as we want, whatever feels right.
I remember when I was in jazz theory class, my jazz theory teacher told me that for horns, keys like E and A are murder on like saxophone and stuff. Do you ever get complaints from the guys in the band for that?
Yeah, I mean, they talk, not complaints, but definitely, I never think about that when we're
He just made
working.
it sound like
But
these are
once we
made
bring
for,
them in, yeah.
it's like these instruments are made for jazz, not rock. So your key signatures are killing us.
Oh, but they work so well in rock too,
Absolutely. That was my argument. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's many a death metal drummer that started out in jazz, let me
Yeah.
tell you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm.
So what were your memories from doing that crazy cruise in 2023 where you played with Joe Bonamassa? What the heck was that like?
It was an awesome experience for so many reasons. One, just being around so many musicians, having the opportunity to get up on stage for the All-Star Jam. We were really lucky to be asked up to do that. Joe Bonamassa and Josh Smith and Reese Wyman and all the amazing Jimmy Vivino. We're all on stage for the whole jam. So we got to go up, Dave and I, and bring up the horn section and do a tune with them, which was really, really cool. Met so many awesome musicians. And then you're also just around, massive fans all day, every day, which is also really cool. You get to meet people who already knew you and came to see you, and you get to reach out to new fans. And then it doesn't hurt having the same bed for 5 days, one that you can just stumble down to once your performance is done or once you're done hanging out. And it was also, for me, it was the first time I started to really feel like we were part of a community, as opposed to just us, slugging it out on the road, lone wolf style. Because ever since then, we keep kind of running into a lot of the guys that were on that cruise. And you just feel like you're a part of something, which is really cool. And it feels, or at least the people that we've had the opportunity to run into a few times, the musicians we've had the opportunity, it feels more like a building up than a we're all in competition together, which I think is really important for, the industry to succeed. Is, we shouldn't be fighting, we should be helping each other. So
Yeah, that's your target market, I would think. That, people that are into Joe Bonamassa are going to be interested in, in your music. I would totally think, yeah.
We're excited. We're doing the one out of Miami in March next year. So
you got to have respect for Joe Bonamassa. He's the only man that tells Glenn Hughes, not this year, when I get to it, we'll get to it. For Black Country Communion, he can tell Glenn Hughes, sorry, I'm busy. It's not me, Who does that, right?
Just to say, like we were talking about this the other day, it is, with these cruises and stuff, the opportunities that he's providing to up and coming musicians that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And we certainly appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's a great experience. Although I think I'd love to hear you and Glenn Hughes duet. Oh my God. How much money would you pay now?
Who doesn't want to do a duet with Glenn Hughes? Come on,
Make it happen.
So what was the post about some crazy weather at the Wasaga Beach gig?
Oh gosh, you are up to date. Do you know Bryan Adams? You know who he is? Yeah.
Canadian, yes. Absolutely.
Canadian legend. Oh, oops. Sorry, not Bryan Adams. Rewind.
Sorry.
There's still sand in my brain. Tom Cochrane, also Canadian legend.
Okay.
So we were opening up for him in Wasaga Beach in not too far from here, which was a really cool opportunity, but the weather was crazy. And you're right, pretty much right on the beach. So there was just sand everywhere. You stick it through, no point in doing your hair, but the crowd was great. The beer tent came down eventually from the wind.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. But I have to say, watching Tom, because it was supposed to die down and the wind actually got worse, and watching Tom Cochrane up there powering through, he's like, nope, we're playing to the end of the night. Doesn't matter. We're going to make this happen. It's pretty pro, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
God, we just went to this local bar just to see this. This band has been together, what they call Nightwing, for like 50 years. They just do covers. And we wanted to see them, And it was an outside stage. It had a little bit of a cover, but the guy kept saying, oh, well, we're not going to take a break because it's going to rain. We're just going to end early. It never rained. I was like, come on, guys.
Early was like 9:30.
Oh, you never know. You never know the right thing to do in those scenarios. Like, obviously they were trying to give everybody a bang for their buck, but then it kind of backfired. Yeah. It's never easy to know what to do.
All right. So should we do our game?
Let's do our game.
So we play a game on the show. It's 5 random questions with Stace, not 50. I'm Stace. So I have a group of random questions in front of me between 1 and 100. So I want you to pick 5 numbers between 1 and 100.
4, 19, 38, 59. Is that it? 4? One more?
One more.
99.
See what you picked here. 4, do you believe in astrology?
No.
Very definitive.
Although I'm a pretty good example of a Virgo, I guess, but
All right, 19. What would you do if you were invisible for a day?
oh gosh. What would I do? I don't know. Maybe I would like sneak on stage with a band I really wanted to see or something. Yeah. Although, yeah, let's go with that.
That's a good one.
Any band you have in mind?
Oh, I don't Tedeschi Trucks, maybe, Wood Brothers.
Oh.
Whoever's playing down at the Molson Amphitheater, if I like them and know them.
Okay.
38. Have you ever watched a reality TV show?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm,
Guilty pleasure. I watched
Okay, which one?
too much reality TV.
So you like a bunch of them.
I just, as I say to Dave, I put them on in the background when I'm trying to get work done. And also I have them lull me to sleep. Let's say Forensic Files is a big one for me, but also I watch The Housewives here and there, some of them.
Okay.
Yeah, they're always worth a trip. Those sound better to me. My daughter was telling me this one where you have to like date with a wall between you, and then you have to decide if you're going to get married or not. And then day of the wedding, you can say no. And I'm like, what is this? Crazy.
Oh yeah, that's
I
right.
forget what that one was called.
The wall.
Yeah, she was Rick. I was like, I don't know.
That's called Love is Blind.
That's you're right. That is what it's called. 59. Do you love or hate roller coasters?
I love roller coasters, but I feel like my body is getting to the point now where it doesn't like them. You know, I haven't been on one in a long time, but we have a theme park not far from here called Canada's Wonderland, and it has a few of those like old wooden coasters still. And I feel like the last time I went on one of those was painful.
It's weird. You reach a certain age. I remember I was younger, I could do anything. And then like, you get above a certain age and anything that flips me now, I'm like,
Yeah.
not to throw up. I don't
Fair
know
enough.
what it is.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Weird phenomenon. All right, and you picked 99. How would your parents describe your personality?
I'm strange. But I'd say we're all strange in my family. But yeah, I'm a little strange. I can be
How
I
many
can
of there
also be a
are?
little emotional.
How many of there are in your family? Brothers and
I
sisters?
have a brother and a sister, younger.
So you're the oldest.
I am the oldest. Yeah.
Responsible for everything.
So am I. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my daughter's the oldest, and she has 2 younger brothers, and she always wants to say she raised them. I'm like,
I think you were involved quite a bit. Yeah.
so you have your UK tour planned for October, and I know you've been out that way before. Where are your craziest fans and maybe the craziest fan interaction you ever had?
I'd say probably for now the craziest fans are in Spain.
I've
And we
heard
have a
that.
few-
They're
we
very
have a few
intense there.
yeah, and we have a few cities in Spain where they really do pack it in. They really do know the tune, like they're singing along to several tunes a night. And yeah, there's definitely always some characters. There's a little club we play in Spain where there's always a couple right at the front of the stage with hand fans, and they're always trying to
And fan.
like a fan.
Okay.
they're-
Well, what do they do with them? They're
They're
fanning
fanning
you?
themselves, but then they
Oh.
try to fan us also. Yeah. So
And that's a
Spain-
little weird. Yeah.
They need the bigger ones.
yeah.
That's funny. Yeah.
So is there some place that you haven't played there before that's on your list that you're kind of looking forward to?
In Europe or in Spain? In Europe?
In Europe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've done tons of stuff in Germany, but we've never played Berlin. I'd love to check out Berlin. We're gonna get to do a few bigger cities in the UK this time, which is nice. We did London, but we also and we did Edinburgh. But we didn't get to do a lot of major cities, so we're hitting up some more of those this time around, which will be great. Trying to think of other places. There's tons of places I'd love to go that we haven't gone yet. So, I mean, we haven't even played in around Detroit yet. I'd love to play somewhere around
Oh,
Detroit.
wow.
It's on our way everywhere. But we're working on it, you know? There's a lot of
Yeah.
cities and only
That's
so many days in the year.
Yeah, that's what I've heard horror stories about some of the towns where, there is no easy way to get everything on stage and there's narrow staircases and
Yeah.
all kinds of crazy stuff. But
Mhm.
And I've
Oh,
heard
yeah.
that in Germany, if you play, sometimes the Germans will come up to you and say, "You did not play my wife's favorite song. This is a big problem." Like they're very passionate.
I mean, in a loving way, maybe, but we get that everywhere we go. People would be like,
Do you?
"Oh,
Okay.
you didn't
Okay.
get to play, you didn't play this song," and we're like, "Oh, sorry, it wasn't on, it wasn't on the set list tonight. We played it last night."
Cannot imagine
Um,
saying that to a band ever. I just cannot imagine bitching about the set list. I don't know. Sorry, maybe it's just me. I don't know. So,
it's never in a super negative way. They just,
oh,
they're letting us know that they know the music, I guess, in a way.
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice way of looking at it. Yeah.
well, it sounds like you are writing again as outside of the tours and writing. What's kind of coming up next for you guys?
We're just trying to find a way to keep the creative process going while we're still really busy. We don't really get a break until December. So we're going to use the time, we've got a little bit more to do in the US before we head to Europe, and then we're in Europe for all of October, but really, finding a way to continue to move that forward, so that we're ready to record at some point next year.
Are all seven of you able to go to Europe? I mean, for that extended period of time? That's great.
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do all seven.
That's great. Well, this was great.
Yeah, and well, we look forward to seeing you in Eldersburg. We'll get you that birthday drink
Elkton.
then.
It's Elkton.
Yeah.
Elkton. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that too. It looks like a great spot.
This is the Snaggletooth Rock and Roll Podcast.